We have a very special guest tonight, Kent Fife, and his teammate Mike. Pleasure to have you, Kent. And Mike, welcome to the show. We're going to be talking about the American VetDogs tonight. Why don't we just dive right into it, Kent? Why don't you tell us a little bit about the American VetDogs?
Okay. First off, Chuck, America's VetDogs is actually part of the Guide Dog Foundation, which was founded back in 1947, right after World War II.
Okay.
The Guide Dog Foundation is in Smithtown, New York. They've been breeding and training guide dogs. They started out doing guide dogs for veterans that were coming back from World War II. That were blinded or had visual impairments. In 2003, a lot of the veterans that were coming back from Afghanistan and also from Iraq were having major issues, and service dogs were a hot issue. Yeah. So the Guide Dog Foundation decided that they wanted to start trying to help veterans even more. So instead of just doing the guide dogs, they went and got themselves certified as an ADI certified service dog school also. And ADI is Assisted Dogs International certification. It's a rather hard certification to get, and they're actually the only service dog school in the nation that's duly certified for both guide and service dogs. So that was in 2003, and in 2006, I believe they actually became, instead of doing business as America's VetDogs, they actually became a separate entity. So they're now two different entities, two nonprofits, America's VetDogs and the Guide Dog Foundation. They're still in the same building, but they're two totally separate entities with two completely separate training staffs working on two separate pathways, one doing for guide dogs and one doing for service dogs, training dogs to do seizure alert, hearing, PTSD and stuff like that, and the other one for guide dogs. So that's how that America's VetDogs came about.
I know you've been involved with it for a while.
Yeah, actually I'm on my second dog. So yeah, I've been involved with them now for about 6 years. Not as a worker, but as a volunteer, because they give their dogs at no cost to the veterans. They actually invite the veterans down to New York. They pay all the funding for getting the veterans down there. Then they put them up down there, feed them for the 14 to 18 days that they stay on campus during the training, and will not take a penny from the veteran. And then they send them home, and then they also they do follow the team as they go on with their life. Yeah. So when my first service dog started having issues after she was bitten, they came to me and said, let's try to retrain her. So they attempted to retrain her. She still had her own little PTSD thing going. Yeah. They said, instead of you trying to change your lifestyle and everything, let's retire her and get you another dog. So they retired Iris and got me Mike. Yeah. So that's how that works.
You've had Mike for about a year?
Almost a year. I got him in June last year.
Yeah, I know we touched just briefly on this, but what are some of the reasons one would get a service dog, and why do you have one?
Well, service dogs, actually, there's lots of different reasons. There's medical reasons would be the most important. Mike would be a medical reason. I have a traumatic brain injury, and I also have some heart issues that are brought on by the traumatic brain injury. So he's a seizure alert dog. My brain injury actually causes me to just go out. So Mike actually pulls an alarm if I'm out in public. His bark is much louder than my first dog. So my first dog would alarm people, let people know something was wrong by barking and drawing attention. And his bark is much, much louder. So instead of barking, he actually pulls an alarm if I go out, which I wear right on my belt buckle. It's quite interesting. People are quite amazed at how quick we could be in the middle of playing a game or doing stuff, and he could be busy doing other things, chewing bones and stuff like that, and I can hit the floor, and then boom, all of a sudden he's up and pulling the alarm and laying down next to me. It's like absolutely amazing to watch. Then if I'm at home, I take this alarm off, and what he does is he searches for the alarm, and if there's no alarm, because when I'm home alone, I take the alarm off. I leave it on when I am with my wife or anybody else is in the house so that the ambulance just doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And that's not really a good thing to have the
Sounds like
ambulance.
it's happened before.
It's may have happened once or twice. To have the ambulance show up is not the best thing in the world. So I take the alarm off if I'm home alone, and when the alarm's not there, he automatically goes downstairs where I've got the 911 button, presses the 911 button, waits for the call, the voice is on the button, and then he comes back and he lays down, waits next to me until the ambulance crew gets there. And then he rides with the ambulance up to the hospital with me. And he has done that. So that's the seizure side of what he does. He also opens doors for me. He picks things up. I jumped out airplanes for a living for 15 years, so my neck is messed up. I've got some neurological issues with picking and holding things, so he'll pick things up off the floor. It absolutely amazes people when I'll throw a credit card down. I actually tell people, go ahead, throw your credit card down. I don't always give it back, so watch out. But I'll tell him, throw the credit card down on the ground, and he'll pick the credit card up and bring it to me and hand it to me, which actually he mouths it to me.
Yeah.
But he'll bring me a credit card, and that's one of the things he does. He'll automatically go, and if I tell him to get his leash, he'll go and get his leash for him automatically. If I tell him to get the remote, one of the things that VetDogs does is they teach us how to train the same way they train, so that when we get home, we can teach them certain tasks we want to learn.
Well, the first thing you do want to train them is how to get the remote.
Well, you have to teach
The
them.
TV.
Yeah, my kids are grown now, so I can't teach them how to go get the remote for me anymore, and I'm lazy, so of course I want them to get the remote. Some people taught them how to get beer, so I don't drink, so I
Only in
taught
the
'em-
commercials.
Exactly, get the remote. So that's what I did. But as far as why other people get service dogs, there are lots and lots of reasons. PTSD is a hot topic now, and service dogs. Dogs in general, animals in general, are great at lowering people's anxiety and stuff like that. And service dogs can be trained to help people bring their emotions back in check. They used to train the service dogs to actually block, and my first dog was actually trained to get in front and block and pull me away if I started to get my anxiety up. Now what they do is they actually train the dog to lay the head on my lap and slow me down and keep me engaged, because VetDogs has been working with the VA and also with the University of Western Kentucky with their psychology department, yeah, brain damage, I can't talk very well. But the bottom line is they've been working with them to come up with really solid ways to work with people to actually help people get better, not just to mitigate the problem. So they instead of just pulling somebody away from something, they actually wanted to figure out ways to keep them engaged and allow them to get better, which is what the VA wanted. The VA for a long time didn't want to recognize service dogs as something that would work for PTSD or any sort of emotional issues.
Really?
So now the VA is finally starting to recognize that service dogs can do that. So we're getting places, so that's a good thing. Service dogs also do balance and mobility. Mike, when I'm going up and down stairs, because I have a brain problem, will get up right next to me and he'll stand as if he's part of a cane. So I'm going up the stairs, I will hold on to the railing and he'll be right next to me with the other hand. So I use him just like another railing. So he's considered just like a medical device. He also, as you can tell, I have hearing aids. If I take the hearing aids out at home, which I always do, I hate wearing these things, he will listen for the doorbell because I don't hear high-pitched noises. I have really bad tinnitus and a major hearing loss. It's part of my disability. So when he hears the doorbell or somebody knocking at the door, I won't hear it, or fire alarms, stuff like that. He will actually engage with me and pull me to get me to realize something's going on and I need to go get the door, or there's an alarm going off, which I won't hear. So they can teach these dogs to do all sorts of different
amazing.
things. Oh, it's absolutely amazing. So, and those are the reasons that people get service dogs. I'm lucky. I happen to be one of those guys that's blessed with many reasons to have a service dog. So, and there are some people that just have a couple reasons. And a lot of the guys that are getting them have missing legs and stuff like that, and they're using them to use for balance and mobility, bringing things to them, stuff like that. And that's fine. If that's all they need, that's great.
Yeah.
I've seen a bunch of people that get a service dog, missing legs, missing arms. A lot of the amputees will get a service dog, get back into the community, get very comfortable with themselves, their disability, and grow out of having a service dog. They actually stop using their service dog as time goes along. They find that they grow into their lack of a leg or a lack of an arm. They get so good at getting around and everything,
Yeah.
they don't have to get a second one, which is exactly where VetDogs wants them to go. They want them to grow back into the community and become part of the community again. But if they need another dog, they'll automatically, just like they did with Mike,
Yeah.
they'll get another dog. But if they don't need another dog, they've really done their job and helped them fully integrate back into the community. So it's a
Now,
wonderful.
Iris, were you able to keep Iris?
Iris, actually, when we retired Iris, they always give first dibs to where the dog goes to the veteran that had the dog. And my son got married, and so my son and his wife now have Iris, and they're about 15 miles from the house, and they come and visit on a regular basis. So I get to see Iris usually about once a week at least. So it's great. So she's part of the family still.
You know, one thing we jumped right into this as soon as the show opened, but I forgot to tell the viewers that Kent is he's a retired sergeant first class. You did what? Was it 15?
15 years.
15 years.
I was medically retired.
And you did a couple tours.
I've done more than enough
Yeah.
tours.
Yeah. But you know, on behalf of the viewers, the crew here at the Veterans Corner, we want to really thank you for your service.
Thank you.
What type of dogs are usually used for service dogs? Does it depend on the particular job that they have to do, or?
Yes, and I love to have people ask that question, because you hear people say when you see the little dog, and you hear people say, well, that can't be a service dog because it's too little. Yeah. And in a lot of ways, I thought that way originally too, but there are service dogs that do nothing. Their entire job is to mitigate seizures, and the seizures that they mitigate would be people that have brain damage here, the ones that get the shots. I'm going to play Jeopardy with you here.
Sounds like.
The sugar guys.
Diabetes.
Yeah,
Diabetics.
there we go. You're the winner. Winner, chicken dinner today. The guys that have them,
Yeah.
the dogs that mitigate that, they actually smell those coming on. Iris, when I got her, she actually picked up on my seizures by the electricity. So each dog has their own way of picking up a seizure coming on. So the size didn't matter. Iris, if you remember, she was a much smaller dog than Mike.
Yeah.
I didn't have the physical issues that I do today. These things, as I get a little older, started to come on. So they bred Mike to be a much larger dog for me. I'm a little bit heavy, and you know, Mike does some bracing for me. So if I need to get up, he'll actually stand and brace for me.
Shut the refrigerator door when you're going for it.
You know, I can't get. He wants to open that and get in there, but you know, what can I say? But you know, the bottom line is they really the size doesn't matter. But you can take a dog that's a little dog, or you can take a dog like a Great Dane, and train the dog to do it. The only thing you have to realize is that the size of the dog will change the life of the dog. The bigger the dog, the less time they're going to be able to work, the more often you're going to have to get a new dog.
Yeah.
So those things are taken in. The dogs that VetDogs does are usually labs, Goldens. They do some collies. They do have poodles because some people are allergic to fur. So poodles are hypoallergenic.
Okay.
So they have poodles. They do have a couple of shepherd mixes that they do, and they do some lab golden mixes, which are absolutely wonderful dogs that they've bred themselves. They could care less about AKC, and all they care about is the life and the longevity of the dog. So
Yeah.
that's how they do their breeding, and they do all their own breeding.
What veterans with service dogs? Why is it such an issue at this current moment? I mean, you understand what I'm trying to say?
I do, and I think that one of the reasons right now is veterans issues right now I think are huge. You hear about them all the time on the news, and one of the things that's going on is you see a lot of veterans starting to get service dogs for PTSD.
Yeah.
And I personally think that PTSD is not the primary reason to get a service dog. I think that every service member probably has some form of PTSD.
Yeah.
No matter what they did in the service. If you go in the service, you're going to come out a little bit on the warp side,
Yeah.
most likely.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. You hang around people like me, you're going to come out a little bit warped. So, PTSD is normally not the major reason. There's usually, if you go in the service, you're going to be beaten up. You're going to beat your body up. You're going to go through an awful lot of physical issues. So I always tell people that the reason that veterans are getting service dogs is because they get beat up.
Yeah.
And you see a lot more service dogs being given to veterans because the VA has finally realized that service dogs work. They're mitigating an awful lot of problems and saving an awful lot of lives. I know I was suicidal for a good period of time. I played with a 45 on a daily basis. I was ready to check out. When I got Iris, I stopped that. And soon after I got Iris, she started to recognize what was going on. And because of her, I was able to change not I, but the doctors were able to change the medicine that I was on, get me on the right regime of where I was at. I stopped having the seizures. I got my driver's license back. I got my life back. I'm able to drive today. I'm able to get out. I'm able to work with veterans. I have a mission again. Things have completely changed and turned around. So, and that I give 100% of that as a reason back to the dogs.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that you see more and more veterans getting service dogs, because you see that there's a need for that. And I think people are starting to see that too.
Now, you just came back from a rather long trip
Yes.
down the eastern seaboard.
Yes, I did.
And that was all pretty much talking and promoting the American VetDogs.
It was a combination, actually. I actually got to stop in at a couple of Legions, a couple of VFWs, and talk to them also about different things that are out there for veterans. I do a lot of veterans issues. So it's not just the VetDogs that I talk about. I try to get out there and shake a lot of hands with veterans also. Let them know that there are organizations that are out there. I talk a lot about other organizations that do dogs also, because there's never going to be enough dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably 100,000 veterans that could use a dog today. And VetDogs themselves probably produces about 100 VetDogs per year. So that's just never going to be enough.
It's a heck of a waiting list.
A heck of a, yeah, well, they're not the only organization that does them, and that's why I know many different organizations that are out there, and I refer people to those other organizations also. VetDogs isn't the only one. So
Primary goal is to get the help out there.
get the help a veteran. That's the most important thing, because suicide right now is what is it, 22, 23 veterans per day are killing themselves, and that's
every
absolutely
day.
unacceptable.
Every day.
Exactly.
And it was, I forgot the numbers. The numbers were somewhere along the lines, total, what was it, somewhere around 35, I think, a day, total a day.
For homelessness.
And out of those were the 22.
Right.
Not good numbers.
Not good numbers at all. And the downside of that is the Veterans Administration is set up to help medically. It's not really set up to help psychologically or emotionally. It really falls on us veterans to get out there and help our brothers, just like we did in the when we were on active duty.
That was one of the reasons why this show started. We did it for a year and a half. We took a year and a half off, and we just recently came back. And it was to highlight all the services that are out there for veterans. There's a lot of help out there. You need to seek it out.
Exactly.
You can't make what's the old saying? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Our goal here is to make sure we highlight all these, so everyone knows, what is out there.
Right.
We touched on PTSD, suicide, homelessness, depression, anxiety, and they're not fitting in all the major hot topics in the veteran community at the moment. How are dogs and other animals being used? It's not just dogs,
right?
Being used to help bridge the gap between the veteran and civilian living.
Well, I personally am a huge animal lover. I am on my way in the middle of May to make a run all the way out to Montana. I've been for the last 2 years working with a number of people to help get another nonprofit started that's going to hopefully have their first major fundraiser. A lot of major names, major players are going to be out in Montana for a big gala on 4 June. That's going to be for equine therapy. And there's a number of ranches all over the country that are for equine therapy today. Unfortunately, they're usually a weekend long, maybe a week long. Veterans or people will come out and they'll spend a few days out there, work with the horses, and then go home. So what this particular group wants to do is to have anywhere between 30 to 90 days on the ranch to actually work on the ranch. They're going to have horses, they're going to have dogs, they're going to have all sorts of different animals, all the stuff that you would have on a regular ranch at no cost to the veteran. And they're going to have therapists, they're going to have all sorts of different stuff. And there's, like I said, a lot of people getting involved in this. So come mid-May, I'm actually going to put the camper and that new trailer that I just got, and I'm going to make a run from Connecticut all the way out to Montana and be out there. I'm actually going to be one of the speakers talking about using animals to help give us our lives back. And that, hopefully, I'll be able to make all the stops again to talk to different organizations as we go out. And that's the key, is to get out there and try to, empower people to get themselves involved. Because each and every person needs to put their hand out and try to help other people.
Yeah. I know the Shepherd's Meadows in Bristol has a big program up there. They've got the horses and all that. We've actually had them on the show in the very beginning. It'd be great to have them back, actually. Yep. How can people get involved, and actually who can get involved with the American VetDogs if they wanted to?
Well, here in Connecticut, Enfield Prison, I know that you've worked with the prison system for quite a while. We actually grew a program now where VetDogs is training dogs in prisons, 13 different prisons along the East Coast. Mike is a graduate from Framingham MCI. Enfield is now training dogs, which means that on the weekends, those dogs need to leave the prison and come out here in the community. So people that want to volunteer for that can go to the website. That is, I believe they've got the listing for the website.
The website should be flashing on the bottom of the screen.
Great, that's exactly what we wanted to see. And they can go to that website and volunteer by calling the people at America's VetDogs and ask about being a puppy raiser, donating money, doing whatever they want, however they want to get involved.
Kent, we can actually keep going, and I'd love to. We're just about out of time. I got to tell you, it was great to see you. It's been a while, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Been wanting to do this for a while, and we finally did it. I hope the viewers took a lot of information out of this. It was a great show. You know, once again, if you want any more further information on the show, on the VetDogs, you know, it should be flashed on the bottom of the screen.
And I believe my blog is also being flashed on the bottom, where they can follow our trip all around the country.
Okay, I'm getting a word. We've got to close down. So
Wonderful. Great being here.
Want to thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
Want to thank the viewers for watching. Stay tuned for our next show. Hopefully we can bring you, not hopefully, we will bring you another great show just as this one was. So at this time, I'd like to bid the viewers a good night and thank you for watching.